Hello and welcome to this episode of Tech Talk. I'm your host, Will Acampora, and today's guest is a filmmaker and the educational program manager at Montclair Film, and this is Tech Talk. My guest today is a graduate of Montclair State University's Film Department and Garden State Film Award recipient, and he is here to talk to us about his industry experience. Thank you for joining me, Ryan Moore.
Thank you for having me.
So the first question I want to ask you is, when did you know you wanted to be a filmmaker, and when did you kind of realize you had a talent?
I think it was in high school. I started to make just relatively bad movies, and I really enjoyed the process of it, though. I didn't go to a school like this, so I didn't have quite the opportunity that you guys have, so I was teaching myself how to edit at home on an ancient device. On Final Cut 7, and rendering times were terrible. And so I was working on films all through high school, but I think it wasn't until I got to college that I realized, this could be a career path. My freshman year of college, I worked on the summer on a feature film as just a PA, and I made money doing it. Not a lot, but for me at the time, 18 years old, it was a lot, and I was like, I could maybe do this.
That's amazing. How has Montclair Film evolved in its mission to promote film education since its beginning? And what role do you see it playing in the future?
Sure. So Montclair Film started as a festival, first and foremost, and the education department came in a little bit later. The education department, I think, started 2015, but we got our building 2016. So we're a relatively newer company, not even 10 years yet for our education department. But it's developed a lot just since then. You know, we were doing a couple 101 classes at first, and now we have a full roster of classes. We have advanced classes, we have adult classes. We do classes in schools as well, and we're continuing to add more in-school classes for some schools that might not be able to afford their own film department. And we're also just extending our offerings that are maybe not classes but related, like film clubs and film competitions.
I think that's amazing. As you were saying earlier about you found your passion, and I think that the natural inclination would be to share that passion and educate the next generation of filmmakers. So that's really good of you.
Thank you.
So what are some important things to know about what you do with Montclair Film, and like some services you might provide?
Sure. So the stuff I always pitch happen to be my favorite things. So if you are a cinephile and you just like to watch everything, our junior jury is one of my favorite programs. You can apply to be a part of the junior jury. If you get in, you hang out during the festival, you watch like 7 or 8 movies. They're all like early release kind of things. We get producers and directors there who talk to the junior jury sometimes, not with every film, but with a good amount of them. We got to watch, last year we watched, or 2 years ago we watched The Whale with Brendan Fraser, and he was there, which was very cool. So that's one of my favorite programs. I also love the competitions. That's like another one of my big passions with what we do. So emerging screenwriter and emerging filmmaker competition. Just because I think that's really important. Again, like when I was young, if you wanted to submit to a film festival as a high schooler, you were submitting against all of the adults too. There were very few programs directed towards teens, which just feels unfair because you guys don't have, $20,000 for your short film budget. So to have something where teens can compete on an equal playing field, I think is really important. And we get some great judges too.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that you guys at Montclair provide your own sort of avenues for young adults and teens that maybe don't have the $20,000 budget to make their short film. And speaking on that, I know that Montclair Film hasn't been around the longest, or the programs that we're speaking about today. But could you highlight any notable success stories or achievements?
Sure. So like I said, we've been around 8 or 9 years, and we really got rolling when the building opened. That was when we started doing the most of our classes. So a lot of our students that we first had are are just now kind of nearing the end of college. So I'm excited to see what they'll do once they're out in the world. But we have a lot of students who come back and visit. We help a lot of students get into colleges too. We do like portfolio reviews. We have a portfolio class where you make films that are, that we designed to be appealing to colleges. So we've had students, get into Columbia and Loyola and Emerson and all these great schools. So I'm always happy about that. And then we've had a few random success stories. I can't remember names off the top of my head, but we had a student years ago, towards the beginning, who has made 2 features already. They're like 22 years old. We had one of our adult classes, our podcasting class, a woman has a podcast called Vietnamese Boat Women, and that one really took off and is like a big award-winning podcast with ad revenue and everything. Yeah,
that's amazing to hear. I at the Martin Scorsese event, I noticed someone said that you and a couple other people were mentors to them, and they got to
Lewis,
ask a question. Yeah, Lewis. So after kind of post-writer strike, post-actor strike, and in the world of AI, what do you think Montclair Film is doing now to stay in the now?
Sure. I think everyone is trying to answer that question, and no one fully knows yet. But I think in the near future, we will see classes start to pop up, and I'm sure we'll develop a class that's like using AI for whatever, whether it's using it for writing prompts, or maybe it's using it to generate material for documentary, right? We had one of our documentary teachers was just talking about using AI to like make your maps, so that instead of like doing animation or CGI for your map, you can just AI make a map, and then you're showing stuff that way.
That's fascinating.
So I think we will start to see those things happening soon, but it's all very new.
I trust that you guys will adapt. Going on a little further on that tangent, what do you think the future of filmmaking looks like?
I mean, I love classic films, so maybe I'm a little hesitant to say that like AI is like the future for filmmaking, because I think that people are the future for filmmaking, and AI might be a tool we can use for certain things. But I hope that I think we will definitely continue to see TV getting more and more similar to cinema, and I think that is a good thing. I think there's a balance that needs to be found, where like sometimes you'll watch a miniseries and you're like, that could have been a great movie, but it was kind of a slow miniseries. And then we'll see some movies where like, that could have been a great miniseries, but it was a excruciatingly long movie. So I'm not sure exactly where the future of film is, but I think that TV and film will keep kind of intermingling, and I also think that that we'll see a return to more kind of classic films too, because I think people are getting burnt out.
I agree.
With Marvel and
no
DC
more Marvel.
and I got nothing against them, but I think they're making too much.
Yeah, they have their place, but to oversaturate it like that. I would also consider myself more of like a film conservative, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But as filmmakers, we hear a lot of advice, right? Most of it we throw out, but what do you feel has been the best piece of advice you've received as a filmmaker?
I think I have a few pieces of advice, but so I'll try to narrow it down. At a film festival, I saw Kevin Smith talking about his path in film, and one thing that he said was that you have to keep your friends close, right? So when you trust your people that you're working with, that makes your film better, right? And I think that's something that gets lost by some college students. I think when you're leaving high school, you're getting into college, you see yourself as like the auteur, not necessarily the boom op or the grip. But you have to do everything, and you have to put yourself out there for your fellow filmmakers too. And having that tightly knit crew is going to help you. because the reality is people aren't going to come and hand you $100,000 to make your first feature. You're going to be likely making it kind of ragtag, and you're going to need to lean on friends that you trust, talented friends that you trust. So I think that's my biggest piece of advice: is help your friends, and they will help you in return.
Yep. So in other words, in order to run a tight ship, you need a crew,
right,
and you need to take care of them. Okay, so now we're going to play a game of Would You Rather, Filmmaker Edition.
Okay.
Our first question is, would you rather have dinner with Akira Kurosawa or Martin Scorsese?
Akira Kurosawa, 100%. Rashomon's one of my favorite films. Wait, do I speak Japanese?
There's some sort
translator?
of Neuralink chip.
Sure,
you can
Neuralink
speak.
chip. Good. Then yes, Akira Kurosawa. Rashomon, one of my favorite films. I think for all the film bros out there who love Memento or Pulp Fiction, it's like they have Kurosawa to thank for completely scrambling structure in writing and redefining what it means to be a three-act structure in a feature film.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kurosawa.
He's outstanding, beautiful. I agree with that choice. And if I could sneak on the set of Dreams, which is one of his later productions, I think Martin Scorsese was actually in that movie.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Dreams.
As Vincent Van Gogh. So if I could maybe sneak a dinner with both of them, that'd be nice.
Oh, that'd be good.
This is a tough one because it's probably not a fun job, but would you rather be Stanley Kubrick's editor or David Fincher's cinematographer?
Oh boy. I think Stanley Kubrick's editor, even though Kubrick was known to be a little bit of a hothead.
Yeah.
And I think the reason is because if I were Fincher's cinematographer, I feel like I'd get tired of just everything being green and yellow.
Yes, yeah. You need to just spruce it up a little bit, even if it is with an anal retentive and very detail-oriented boss. So here's another question. You work in comedy a lot. Who is more talented and versatile comedian? Is it Donald Glover or Jordan Peele?
As a artist in general, or as
just
a filmmaker specifically?
As an artist in general, because it wouldn't be fair as a filmmaker.
Right.
One of
I
them
think
is,
Jordan
one of
Peele
them
would
isn't.
win that. I think probably Donald Glover. He's done everything.
He really has.
He's done like every medium possible.
Yes.
From writing for 30 Rock to writing his first feature to being an actor in Community to his music career to Atlanta and stand-up. Like he's done so much.
He's amazing.
That being said, I love Jordan Peele's films.
Yeah. Even Nope, I feel, is a little underrated.
Yeah, I like Nope better than Us, honestly.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with that too.
Yeah, Space Jaws, it was fun.
Yeah. So many people are worried that film is being replaced by series. We talked about this a little earlier. The line blurring between like limited series and these kind of like exclusive series and True Detective and all these other shows that are kind of cinematic, The Bear. What would you say about if you were given an infinite budget? Would you rather work on a cinematic style show or like a single film?
I think definitely a single film. First off, I got ADD brain, so like I don't know if I want to stick with something that long.
Yeah.
I think I want to do a film. You got to stick with a film long enough as it is. You
True,
know, from writing through editing through going to festivals and distribution, it can take 3-4 years. So I think just my writing styles is better suited for a film than a series. But I got nothing against series. I think, like I mentioned before, I think it's kind of a good thing that there's this blend going on. And I like that TV shows are now like more cinematic. I really loved Barry. Did you watch Barry at all?
Amazing.
Like super cinematic. Feels like a movie.
It does.
Loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would kind of agree. I too have severe ADD brain, so I would probably want to keep it in the confines of my more traditional medium. So lastly, a popular movie rating platform, as you may know, has a reoccurring segment where they ask guests their 4 all-time films.
Yes.
Now here at PCTI, our segment is what are your top 3 films plus an extra one?
Plus an extra one. Okay, cool. My top 3 films. So I get asked this question a lot, and by my students and friends and everything. And and it is always changing. But here are some of my favorites. In no particular order, we'll say they are all equal on a platform, except for maybe the +1 extra. But Harold and Maude, from 1970, amazing film. You know, this is like the precursor to Wes Anderson, and Wes Anderson's one of my favorites, even though.
It's a good pick.
So Harold and Maude, definitely up there. Dr. Strangelove is my favorite Kubrick film. I love Dr. Strangelove. Super underrated and just amazing satire.
No fighting in the war room.
Yeah, no fighting in the war, yes. And I'm going to say Royal Tenenbaums, Wes Anderson's third movie. That's my favorite of his. And even though I might not, it might not be on the caliber of filmmaking as those other two, I think for me it's like a comfort movie. Like I can watch that movie anytime. The music's amazing.
It really is.
The color's amazing. I can go back to that anytime. And my fourth one, I'm going to call this one my wild card pick, Wet Hot American Summer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See,
super funny, big influence on my style. Because as much as I love watching the like highbrow movies, I only write stupid stuff.
I love that list. It's very, it paints a portrait of a person. I think stylistically, the Royal Tenenbaums is, and Gene Hackman and the, I guess the soundtrack. It all kind of, it's very depictive, and I think, I don't know, Harold and Maude, isn't that Siskel and Ebert or whatever? Sorry, Roger Ebert's like first movie review. It's like there's some significance there.
Nice.
That's really a well-rounded answer. Thank you very much. And thank you. That's it for Tech Talk, folks. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem.
You've been a great studio guest. So we have a star on our PCTI Hollywood Walk of Fame, and it has been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you
here
so
you
much.
go, Ryan.
Awesome.